Good day, Noodlers. This is Paul Romero on Wisdom Wednesday, October 14th, 2015. Welcome to the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Investing number 177. And if you saw the message that I sent out, the message that I sent out about this hangout here, you would see that I had written so much to do and no time to do it. Why does that make me happy? Whenever you have this feeling, does it make you happy, or does it fill your life with stress and worry and doubt and overwhelm? I'm sure that for most people, when you have the feeling that you've got so much to do and you just absolutely know that there's just no way that there's enough time in this day to get it all done, that your feelings shift away from happiness and towards stress, worry, doubt, and overwhelm. So why am I so crazy, and why does this feeling make me happy? Well, it makes me happy because I know that if I take this on and I prioritize my so many things to do in the order of what is going to be the most productive thing to get done first, followed by what is the most important thing later. There's a big difference there between most productive and most important. I know that if I can knock out the most productive things first, that I will have knocked out what is perceived to be the most difficult things first, and I'll be left with the important things, which will be easy to do. And by doing this day after day after day, even though I know tomorrow there's going to be far more to do than there will be time to get done, and the day after that it's going to be the same, and the day after that it's going to be the same, and the day after that it's going to be the same. But if I continue to follow the process of knocking out the most productive things first, followed by the important things, that one day down the road there's going to be so much to do, and I'll know there'll be enough time to do it all. And then there'll be not so much to do and plenty of time to do it all. So that's why the whole idea of so much to do today, and I know there's no way in blue blazes that I'm going to be able to get all of it done, and it makes me happy. How about you, John? You happy about that idea?
Sometimes, and sometimes no. You know, my take on it is similar but a little different. To me, you've got two types of work in your bit. Let's relate this into business, and then we can relate it into our personal lives as well, because we have bills and important things that need to get done in our personal lives. So relating this to business first, talking about two types of work or two types of tasks. You had mentioned productive things and important things. And, there's a thing in business where you have your busy work and your productive work. What is busy work? Busy work is all the stuff that has to get done, that's important, but it doesn't make you any money. Production is all the work in a business that is geared towards making the profit. Sales, marketing, that's productive work. Things like accounting, some of the operations and office management, that's kind of the busy work. That's the stuff that it's important, it needs to get done, but it's not making you any money. So for me, having a team to take on the different aspects of the business is what makes me feel good. If I was in business by myself, and I had to handle all the accounting, the operations, tax preparation, entity formation, all that busy work to go along with just going out there and getting a deal, I'd probably want to blow my brains out. So I kind of jumped on a second late, so I might be missing the point of what you're talking about. But yeah, there's important work that needs to be done both in the productive side of your business and your life and in the busy work side. And, you know, trying to manage both and do it all on your own, you're only going to reach, I'm not going to say you're not going to be successful, but you're going to only reach a certain level of success in life where you're going to be spending a lot of time just running around. So you kind of need a team in your business to take over the busy work, because quite frankly, I like to do the productive stuff or the strategical stuff. Paul's the same way, likes the strategical stuff, come up with the marketing pieces, kind of behind the scenes, orchestrating the sales force and the troops out there. I would say in my personal life, just about everything seems like busy work. And I've, like, you know, between fixing the car, paying the bills, cleaning the house. But the wonderful thing is these are all things that someone else can take care of you. And I'm not talking about going out and getting a wife. Personal assistant can drive you around, take your cars in, clean up your house. And that makes me feel good to know that those things. So then in personal life, for me, the productive side of it, the real important stuff for me is to spend time with the kids, have free time to read books, or, you know, my free time just to screw around and take a break from business and reality. So, yeah, I guess that's my response to that. But having a lot to do and knowing there's a lot of stuff to do, I guess it does make me happy to a certain level, knowing that that every day I get up, there's something I need to get doing to reach my goal, to reach my destination. So I guess it does give me the ability to wake up feeling purposeful in my life, though there is some things that tend to make you feel a little out of control sometimes when you just let them go.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's kind of where I was going right there. The letting things go and getting out of control is kind of where I was leading towards, in the whole idea that, you know, when a person has, you know, you wake up in the morning and you just like, you know, God, I got so much to do today. And, you know, I got so much to do today, and you know that there's just no way that you're going to be able to get it all done. For most people, that's going to instill within them, you know, stress and worry and doubt and overwhelm, a feeling of overwhelm for the day. And all of those feelings alone will actually hamper their ability to get any of it done, you know. And so you're looking at, you know, the fact that, oh, I got all these things to do. Where do I start? What do I do first? You know, how am I going to get all, how am I ever going to get all this? How am I ever going to get all this stuff done? And, you know, it will eventually all get done. There's no question about it. As long as you just stay focused and persistent upon doing as much as you possibly can today. You know I'm not going to get it all done today, but if I prioritize it properly and I get as much as I possibly can done today, then come tomorrow, there's going to be certain things off that list that I'm not going to have to get done because I got them done today. And the point that I was going to make there is that for a lot of people, they'll instead of looking at, okay, this is the most productive thing for me to get done first thing today, followed by this, this, and this. And if I knock these three things out, then I can move on to these other important things. And even if they don't ever get to the important things, those three things, if they just get those first three productive things out of the day done, then tomorrow when they come back and, you know, again, there's still going to be so much to do. Maybe there's a new productive thing that's made its way to the top of the list, but now you've only got one productive thing, and then you've got all of these important things, and you could put some time onto those. And then who knows, the next day, maybe 5 very productive things pop up that have to get done. So those make it to the top of the list. But eventually, you know, if you keep working that productive stuff off the top of the list, and the important things sort of rise up, and you'll get as much of those as you can. Eventually, one day you wake up and all the important stuff somehow got done, and yeah, you've got these productive things that you need to get done, but hey, you've got all day to get those done, and then you kind of got some more free time. So just looking at putting together a game plan each and every day and sticking to it is kind of the whole focus that I was going to go with on that. And I really wanted to sort of outline that with the idea of a future thought to, drive you towards maintaining that focus is simply this. It's a quote. I don't even know where this quote came from, but I love it. And it goes, if I am willing to do what most people won't, and for me, most people won't, stay focused on working the productive things first, followed by the important things second, day in and day out. If I'm willing to do what most people won't, soon I'll be able to do what most people can't. And that's basically have the free time to do whatever the heck I want, instead of all of this, work that there isn't enough time for. Eventually there will be enough time for it.
Absolutely. I watched this, man, you got me thinking. I want to pull out one of my notebooks from about a year and a half ago, because I listened to a webinar by this woman that put all of what we're talking about here today into a really awesome how-to type of system for yourself, a way of prioritizing the most important tasks. And it took her about 45 minutes, an hour presentation. And I'd love to share this, the details of this, probably maybe on Freedom Friday, because what her little system here, and I'll touch on a couple of the points that kind of related to what you were saying there, Paul, is all about creating freedom in your life by eliminating all your to-dos from your day, not necessarily eliminating them by getting them done, but eliminating them from your list of to-dos by prioritizing and not overwhelming. One of the things too, I think that's relevant to this conversation here about, you have your list and you want to get those productive things done first, so you have some productivity throughout your day, and then that busy work that's still important, come back to that later. Most people, when they create a to-do list for the day, they put more than they're able to accomplish on that to-do list. And that's a negative, bad thing for two reasons. Number one is you've created this list and you're overwhelmed by it because you wrote it down. You're like, I'm going to get this done today. And as you're going through your day and you're realizing that there's more on your list than you can get to, you begin to become overwhelmed. And what happens when you start to feel that feeling of stress or being overwhelmed by something, you begin to become less productive in your work. Whether you consciously realize it or not, you begin to slow down. Your thoughts will begin to drift. That's what stress and being overwhelmed does to you. The second part about, creating a to-do list that can't be accomplished is then, if you're the kind of person that likes to take stock of yourself at the end of the day and be like, all right, I set these goals for then I got these goals done, then you go ahead and you create this overwhelming, unachievable to-do list. And at the end of the day, there's a certain I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but like a stab to your pride, a diminishment to your pride, because here you have written down all these things that you've got to get done and you didn't accomplish them. So you're kind of taking a hit with your confidence there. And another thing is also you're getting in a habit of setting goals that you're not accomplishing. And that in itself is a very negative thing. So there's actually kind of three things there, if you will, to creating your to-do list. Is you want to make sure that the most important things get put onto that list, but you want to make sure they're things that you can actually confidently get done in a day, and you don't want to overwhelm your list because you want to set achievable goals. That's just one of the many things that she talked about in that webinar that I was referencing.
Yeah, that's a really cool point because when you go out and you create this big old, okay, I've got 48 things I got to get done tomorrow. And I mean, what you were saying there about the diminishment of pride, I mean, basically what you've done for yourself is you have basically just set yourself up for failure. And so at the end of the day, like John says, you look back at your to-do list to take stock in what you've got, what you've accomplished, and you didn't get anywhere close to finishing all 48 of those things. And it gives you a feeling of failure, which, it's a crushing blow to your ego. And so it makes the next day even more difficult to get out there and, be productive and tackle that list because, well, shoot, I failed yesterday at completing the list. What's to say I'm going to get it done today? So in setting up a list, like, you might make a list of 48 things and then look at that list. And then the other thing that goes with making a to-do list is when it comes to, okay, you've got 48 things that have to get done, right? Okay, I'm never going to get 48 things done. But again, looking at the list going, okay, what is the most productive things that I can do off this list? And if you can pull out, say, the 3 most productive things off that list to get them done tomorrow, and you know that there'll be plenty of time in the day to get those 3 things done, and you start your list with that, then at the end of the day, you can look back and you can look at the big list of 48 and you can go, okay, there's the big list of all the things that have to be done, but here's the 3 most important things that needed to be done, and I got those done. And you can have this, grand feeling of accomplishment and success and a confidence builder, as John said, so that the next day you can now look at the list of 45 things, pull out the next 3 most productive things and get those done. Whereas a lot of people kind of do the opposite, and instead of pulling out the 3, most difficult, because one of the things is that, the most productive things on your list often get perceived in our minds as the most difficult thing to do as well, too. And so we look at that list of 48 things and we go, well, yeah, that needs to get done, but I don't know, that's, do I really want to call that guy tomorrow? And so we'll put something on the list that isn't, something that in our mind is perceived as easy, which generally has to do whether or not it's something that you're going to do by yourself or whether or not it's going to involve another person. And the stuff that involves another person generally has a tendency to have that perceived difficulty to it. And so we put all these easy things on the list, like, okay, well, I need to, like John says, I need to balance the books today, and so that's something that you yourself can sit down with the computer and you can do, and it's an easy thing in your mind to do because it's only you that has to do it. But it's not the thing that's going to be the most productive thing, because what you really should be doing is picking up the phone and calling that guy, but you've put it off. You didn't do that on the top of your list. So now 2 things. Number 1, you got a list of 48 things that you didn't get done. And when you look at the list at the end of the day and you go, well, I got this, this, and this done, but man, I didn't do this, or I didn't do this, and I didn't do this. And those are the things that I really should have done. So here again, big crushing blows to your ego that, is a downward spiral of just, making things that much more difficult on yourself to do what you really need to do.
Absolutely. There's this, shoot, I lost the hangout. Am I still on here?
Yeah, you're still there.
Oh, there you are. Shoot, my window closed to another window and I thought I lost it. So that totally threw me off. Okay, what I was going to make a point is I read there's a little thing about, filling, imagine your glass and you have rocks. And what happens is if you take big rocks and you put them in your glass, the glass looks like it's full, but then if you take smaller ground up rocks and pour it into the glass, it fills up the glass and you realize there's all those little empty spaces, right? The idea behind this little analogy is that you might have a couple of big things weighing down on you and they seem so monumental, but they're really not. And there's a lot of gaps, if you will, or space and time around those big rocks in your glass. You get what I'm saying? You fill your glass with rocks, and then there's still all those empty spaces. But the rocks seem so big and heavy, and that they fill everything up. And then the stuff that's easy to accomplish, now imagine are the small rocks, like stuff that you like to do. You can fill your time up with it. There's no stress involved in it. And it can fill all your time doing that kind of stuff. But the big stuff, which really shouldn't take that long, that seem like a big task, overwhelm you and you spend way too much time. And what people tend to do when they create a to-do list is they tend to do all those small tasks they enjoy, they don't mind doing. They do all that stuff first, and they fill the time in their day in with all the stuff that they don't mind doing, and they ignore the big stuff that has to get done because there's some stressor attached to it. You know what made me think of this, Paul, is you talked about a sales call. Even for the most, I'd say, professional salesman that's out there, you've got your sales calls or your clients that do still to this day make you a little, having to deal with them stresses you out, or you really want to get that deal closed because it's a big one, so it's a little bit stressful and you're putting it off because you're waiting for the right moment or something like that. The idea behind this is that you should, when you make your to-do list, is the most important stressful tasks that you have for your day actually should be at the top of the list, because if you get those big rocks out of the glass, all of a sudden you're free to fill up your time doing the things that you like to do. Your mind is free. You get rid of those big difficult tasks at the start of the day, or the things that you're putting off to the end of the day, because all you're doing is actually producing less. You're working slower because you've got that big stressful task ahead of you, rather than if you knock it out, you feel elated, you feel great, it's done, it's out of the way, and now it like relieves a little bit of stress, it fills you with confidence. So that would be kind of my one of my suggestions or advice would be in creating a to-do list for the day, is put the most difficult tasks kind of first and get those, the ones that you're dreading doing, get those ones done first, so that your mind is free of those stressful items for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you just got me thinking about a little drawing here, and I'm going to sort of make it really fast, but here's what John's talking about right here. And the funny thing is you look at these two, right, and they're both full, they both have the same amount of stuff in them, but if you tackle 3 of your big things, your glass is then only that full. Whereas over here on this side, you can tackle, 15 of these things and your glass remains this full. So you can take care of just 3 things and accomplish so much more. I think that's kind of the point you were trying to make. And I think that little sort of drawing there sort of helped point that out.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is those big important tasks are the ones that should be done first. If you start your day and you got 5-6 things on your to-do, and you're like, out of that 5-6, if you're creating your schedule for the day and there's 2 that you're kind of like, oh man, I just dread doing them, I'm going to put those off till later this afternoon. You tend to find 1,000,001 excuses between 8 a.m. and 1 o'clock in the afternoon that when 1 o'clock rolls around, suddenly you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't finish doing this. I'll put it off. And then you never get it done that day. And I'm guilty of it. That's how I know. It's like you got to just force yourself to get those big ones off the plate right away in the morning.
Right, because the next thing you know, it's rolled around to 2:15 in the afternoon. And now you've got the perfect excuse as well. You know what? I really just don't have time to get that started and finished today, so I'll continue on with all this bullshit that I've been doing all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you say, I'll do it tomorrow, but then you wake up the next day and you still have that same feeling of dread about doing the task, and you end up putting it off. And you know what? Sometimes these tasks for me have been simple as picking up the phone and talking to a seller that I need to, Paul and I had a meeting last night. There's this one seller that we thought we'd be in this property for about $87,000, and all his debt came in, and now we're in it at 113. There's no deal there. We've been talking about it for 2 weeks, but neither Paul, myself, or one of our other partners in this deal has actually picked up the phone to tell him, hey, we can't do this. And then it kind of dawned on me last night. I'm like, all right, it's been 2 weeks. I know this is an uncomfortable call to make because the guy might just say no and pull the plug on the deal. But it was kind of funny to realize like almost 2 weeks have gone by and we haven't actually made the phone call yet because it's one of those big rocks. We just don't want to deal with it. We just want the guy to say yes, but we have to get on the phone to get him to say yes.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? The bottom line is, if he pulls the plug and he walks away, hey, if he pulls the plug and walks away, he pulls the plugs and walks away. Either way, we've gotten this deal either locked up and done or taken off our plate and over and out the door and on to the next. Because right now, as we were talking about, it's a big giant rock that's weighing heavy on the scale and preventing us from getting other more productive things accomplished. And we get this one knocked out of the way, whether it turns into a deal or not, it's done with, it's over with, and we can get on to more productive business.
Absolutely. Like, what's the worst that can happen? He says no, and the deal's dead. Well, we've got I think 5 or 6 others waiting to close, and 329 people in our lead generation system that are waiting for us to lock them up. So
yeah, and you know what? It'll be a loss of about $2,000, but hey, that's just all the more incentive to get out there and get the next deal and make 10 grand.
I think this was a kind of a good topic for today, just to talk about, like, creating a to-do list, some goals for the day that are achievable, attainable, something you can actually accomplish, getting the difficult stuff the most off the plate first thing so that your stress levels reduce and your day's free to kind of pursue the tasks in your business that you enjoy doing. I mean, this is gold. This is gold. This is all about your mindset, and it's all about not going through your day haphazardly. Go each day with sort of a plan to your day.
Now I did lose you.
To your goal.
You ever have the feeling that having too much to do and not enough time made you happy? It's actually a good problem to have, because if you've got too much to do and not enough time, then you've got something going on. Hopefully it's a good thing that's going on. And just prioritizing and doing the right things, the most productive things first, opposed to the time wasting sort of busy work first, will help you to advance in the progress of not having so much overwhelm in your day. And you just have to go into your day going, you know what? Okay, there's all these things to do. I can't get them all done today. There's half, 3/4, 7/8 of my list is still going to be there tomorrow to get done, but that's okay, because I'll knock out 1/8 of it today, and then tomorrow I'll knock out another 1/8, and eventually I'll be down to having only 1/8 left, and it'll all be done, and I'll have the freedom that I'm looking for. And that's what it's all about. It's all about building towards time freedom. The most precious thing that you have on this planet is your time for your family, your time for yourself, your time for your enjoyment, your vacations, your fun, all those things that we want in life all originate from time freedom. And unfortunately, everything in this world today is stealing time, minutes, seconds away from our day. All these things are stealing this time away from us that we have. That's what gives us that feeling of overwhelm and stress and worry, is that, you know, we just can't get it all done. But if you just prioritize it day in and day out, give yourself a feeling of confidence by creating only a small list that is doable within a day, so that at the end of the day you can look back and go, woohoo, look at that, I am king, I knocked it all out today. Instead of going, oh my God, I only got 3 things done, what am I going to do tomorrow? You know, I mean, how different is that? Just those 2 feelings going to make you go into your next day and your next day and your next day and your next day. So with that, John, why don't you give us a final thought here and take this thing home for us?
All right, I'm going to be very careful here because my final thought could go on for 30 minutes with this topic here.
I know.
There's something called the compound effect and the snowball effect. And basically, if you let those things pile up and that sense of overwhelm and not accomplishing things, if you let all that build up in one day, it goes into the next day, and it goes into the next day, and the effect compounds because you're not being productive, you're not getting things done. It's building up on your plate, building up on your plate, and it's like and it compounds, and it becomes like a big giant snowball rolling forward. And if you don't gain control of your life now and start to really, you know, make a significant change in the way you go through your day and try to eliminate going through your day haphazardly, the snowball effect to me is you wake up a year, 2, 3 years down the line, and you realize that you've just been caught up in this overwhelming avalanche of life, and you're in the same position, if not worse of a position, that you were 3 years in the past. And it all starts with
you're splattered up against a tree, buried under a mountain of snow.
Yeah, you were a very poor skier through the freaking hills of life. So, you know, my final thought is, you know, like I said, I think this is kind of a very wise Wisdom Wednesday, and this is definitely stuff that, hey, nobody's perfect. You got to start somewhere, and today, better than any day, to start doing something along the lines as we laid out here. And if you already are doing it, great, keep going forward. Hey, you're not going to be perfect. Some days you're going to mess up, but guess what? You have an opportunity to start fresh every day that you open your eyes and wake up to a new day. Actually, you have a chance for a fresh start every second of every day. Right now, fresh start. Right now, fresh start. So you know what?
Oh, darn, I screwed that one up. Can I start over again? Hey, I can.
Hey, but you only have one lifetime, so live it with purpose. So with that, oh universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth through the power to control and direct my own noodle to whatever ends I may desire. So with that, have a great day. We'll see you back here on Freedom Friday. Woo!
Yeah, second best day of the session.